but he's quite easy to hit. His straight right hasn't got too much power on. He's got the occasional not bad left hook.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is going to be a massive thing, especially if Tyson Fury is ringside. That's surely going to be playing on his mind, as I know he has been invited to do so. Hello, one and all. Welcome back to On the Canvas. I'm back on this one. This is interesting. You haven't seen my face on one of these for some time. It's been Jacob running the show. That big man over there. How are we doing, mate? You okay?
It's good to see you back, man, and that lovely face of yours.
Speaking of rough and ready, we've got a rough and ready fight coming up this weekend with Anthony Joshua versus Kubrat Pulev. One that's kind of been a bit thrown together in a sense.
Well, I don't know if you can see it in my camera now, but I've actually still got a poster of Anthony Joshua on my wall. And that kind of shows you how much I adore this man and how nervous I get. He's probably the only person that makes me, unbearably nervous. Tomorrow night, I won't, although we do this podcast and stuff, I will not be watching the fight. I will do my usual ritual with an Anthony Joshua fight where I will go out for a run, turn my phone off, and then pray in an hour later that he's won. Yeah, and I believe Kubrat Pulev is going to get stopped between rounds 7 and 9. That's my only prediction for you, Has.
Okay, that's your early prediction. Well, let's sort of talk a little bit of a breakdown of this fight beforehand. So this fight's kind of been essentially like 3 years in the making. It's been started and stopped a couple of times. I mean, it was scheduled for, I believe, 2017, which Pulev pulled out to an injury, which then we saw, was it Carlos Takam step in for him as a result. So we have been waiting on this fight to happen for a little while. I mean, probably not too eagerly. I don't think anyone's really pushing for this to happen, but here we are, it's here. Pulev he's a tough customer. He's unbeaten for a few years now. Only lost once in his career, and that was to Klitschko. So, he's not a complete pushover, and it's not by no means a formality for Joshua. But what are your thoughts on Pulev as an opponent, and stylistically, how does he match up with the champ going into this?
Well, Pulev, I was actually just to go to the Pulev fight in 2017. It obviously ended up being Takam, and it wasn't one of Joshua's better displays. If you look at Joshua's preparation for that, I think at the time he knows, and that most of us know, that Pulev's got this typical Eastern European boxing style. It's very upright. He's got a fantastic jab, very heavy jab. And I think if you remember, if you watch the Klitschko fight, he actually stunned Vladimir in the first round with a jab. So that goes to show how heavy that jab is. But he's quite easy to hit. His straight right hasn't got too much power on. He's got the occasional not bad left hook. But stylistically, if we're looking at it between the two, Joshua has all the benefits, all the natural capabilities over Pulev. I think if you looked at the Ruiz fight, you thought, Ruiz could be a tricky customer because he's got fast hands, and if it gets up close to fight, then Ruiz is probably going to be the favourite. But I don't see a way, unless it's going to be a typical Eastern European boxing match of jab, jab, grab, that Pulev can do anything about it. Pulev is experienced, he's seasoned. I think if you see him now, he's very light, so he's expecting to perhaps take AJ into the later rounds, into the deep waters, and see if he can really target the body and then eventually wear AJ out. But I just see Joshua boxing much better than he did against Takam all them years ago, and I see him eventually wearing down Pulev, who is 39.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. I mean, you mentioned obviously the fight with Andy Ruiz, and that was now a year ago. So, that's a long time out of the ring for Joshua again. But, he has mentioned it a lot in the build-up to this fight, he talks of boxing fitness and being able to go for those later rounds and being fresh for those later rounds. And he's talking a lot about punching volume, which I find very interesting because it's not something we normally associate with Joshua. We associate power and putting people literally on, the back of their shorts in those scenarios with Joshua. So do you get the sense that he is coming into this one to throw combinations together and show off more of his boxing skill as opposed to his athletic prowess?
I think we're going to see a mix. I think people always say that Joshua's this big puncher, and personally, although I'm one of his biggest fans, I don't think he's one of the hardest hitting heavyweights out there. I don't think he's anywhere close. I think he always generates his power through fast combinations. He's probably the best combination puncher in the heavyweight division. And I think in probably the last year, probably since Klitschko, he's been caught in two minds. I think some fights he's tried to be this brawler, like he did against Takam. Against Parker, he he boxed his way. Povetkin, I don't know really what he did. He bent down low. I think he was trying to be this, counter puncher, Floyd Mayweather type of boxer, even though he's a heavyweight. Ruiz won. I think he obviously, we know what happened. He walked straight in. And the Ruiz 2, he then got on his bike and jabbed Ruiz's face off. I think we're going to see an amalgamation of all of them. I think at times he's going to have to box, but it's also times that he's going to be the younger man, the fresher man, the bigger man. He's got to take the fight to Pulev, walking down, and then really brawl with him. And if it gets inside, I think AJ's probably quicker than Pulev, as opposed to when he fought Ruiz, where he couldn't get on the inside. If he did, it would have spelt really big trouble.
Yeah, so, I mean, do you feel that Joshua needs to make a statement in this fight, given how that second Ruiz fight came out and the criticisms he got for his style in that fight, in terms of essentially evading all the firepower and just fighting to a comfortable decision? Do you think he really needs to make a statement in this one, or do you think he's going to still keep it tactically astute in that sense?
I don't think he's going to be in terms of a statement, in terms of a knockout. I want to see AJ's confidence back. I think since the Klitschko fight, he got knocked down heavily in that fight. There's been he's been reluctant to get involved in any type of fight at close quarters. I just want to see, if it's points or if it's a knockout, I just want to see this air of confidence. Even in the Ruiz 2 fight, every time Ruiz got close, Joshua seemed to be a little bit panicky. So this one, I just want to see him know what he's doing, even when he might lose a couple of rounds, just to have that air of, he's still going to win. And just be confident in his chin, and confident in exchanging, and just not be reluctant.
Yeah, I mean, I think personally, this Pulev fight's kind of tailor-made for him to put out a strong statement. I mean, all through the press, again, to go back to that, Eddie Hearn speaking up, saying, in Saudi Arabia, he followed a game plan which was needed, and saying now that Joshua's got that sort of venom back in him, and he's saying that he wants to see him break him down, beat him up, and then knock him out. Which, I do think is a possibility. As you mentioned, Pulev's considerably older, and he's got a very sort of slower game in that sense, and is very upright, maybe perfectly hittable for a combo puncher like Joshua in that sense. And given that he has been talking a lot about volume, I think that's probably what we're going to see. I mean, I kind of feel inclined to agree with you. I think it won't be an early stoppage. One of the sort of final point on a change in his camp, and I don't know if you've read much about it, was the bringing in of a chap called, I don't know, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation on, Joby Clayton.
Joby Clayton, I think he actually worked for the Ruiz rematch. Him and Angel Fernandez are the two trainers that have come in for him. And I think both of them, they look fantastic additions. McCracken over Caesar, or Rob McCracken, that is. Angel Fernandez, he's got that Spanish-Mexican style where he's very loose and languid, like we saw in the rematch where he's moving and he's pivoting on that front foot. And I've listened to a few things from Joby Clayton, and he looks like this really quite, calm guy, doesn't he? He looks like he meditates in the morning. And I think that for a guy that is under such extreme pressure like Anthony Joshua, having a guy who doesn't really seem to be faced like absolutely anything can only be a positive.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is going to be a massive thing for him, especially if Tyson Fury is ringside. That's surely going to be playing on his mind, as I know he has been invited to do so. So, final prediction. You're thinking is a late stoppage?
I normally go against Joshua because I don't know why, but I'm going to go round 9. I think he's going to weather a storm early. I think it's going to be a chess match, and I think Joshua's going to be told probably in the 6th, 7th round that he's got to bite down his gum shield and then walk forward and show who's the younger, fresher man.
I'm slightly different. I've got a feeling the middle rounds is where he's going to take this one in an accumulation of just sort of overwhelming Pulev with quicker, faster combinations. Just basically on what I've been reading about so much about his fitness and volume, I think he's just going to try to really just drown him as much as he can. So I think that'll be what it is. But it's nice to see Joshua back and fighting again. And hopefully that leads to some more activity in that sense. A year is a long time to be out, and whether that plays a factor, I guess we'll see. I mean, I'm not sure whether you think it will play a factor or not.
But Pulev's been out for the sake, a year as well. Every boxer in this COVID, period has been out for a long time. Like Cody, for example, who's on the undercard, he's been out. So every boxer's got to deal with it. But luckily for Anthony Joshua, I think probably a year away, away from the spotlight, away from fighting all the time. Just honing his craft quietly in, Finchley, ABC, and up at Sheffield as well, probably has done him good. And I think he can really focus on his boxing as opposed to commercial advertising things. He's got all these things he's got to do. But this time round, during lockdown, he's really been able to focus on just staying in the gym.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it'd probably be more advantageous to him.
Yeah, absolutely. So we both got slightly different predictions, but what's your prediction? Let us know in the comment section below. But anyway, for me and Jacob, that's our preview of the big fight this weekend. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in a bit. See you later.